Okay, hello everybody. Here's to hoping that these technical difficulties are behind us. Zoom is doing some wonky things right now with the connection. Oh, no, it's fine. It looks good on
Nice.
YouTube, which is good. Hold on, let's just get ourselves settled. Joe, I've got good news. It's okay.
Awesome. I was, as much as I was ready, I was hoping we weren't going to be doing this on our cell phones. So very good.
Well, all right. So for those of you at home that don't get to see the debacle and the chaos that some of these things take, I know it just seems like we just get on here and jump in, but it's a little bit more. And Zoom was splitting the screens up, and I mean literally down to the wire. We did it. We got the technical issues all. You'd think after 2 years of doing this, we'd have it down pat. What on earth is
You
going
certainly
on?
would. Well, my friend, we are
Are
finally,
we?
and it feels good. Let me check. I'm still futzing with my iPad so I can see the chat stream go past, realizing like this is the first time I've done this in my new dig. So
I was just going to say, we first of all, welcome everybody. Welcome. Everybody's saying hello. I see Simon up on there. I see Brett, Shane, of course, Eddie, Alex, the Bond Armory. All right, the gang's all here. I mean, we'll go down the line. Joe and I just thought it would be great. And there is no agenda tonight. The agenda is set by you. I mean that. But it's halfway through the week. Some of us have been having some pretty extreme weeks for a variety of reasons, just because every week seems extreme. And we thought, you know what? Let's get our buddies together and let's have a drink or two or six.
Mhm.
And Joe, you just talked about it. You're in your new digs. What does that even mean?
Yeah, I relocated. My girlfriend and I moved to a new spot, and I just kind of amazed how much crap I have. So we're kind of finally getting settled. So yeah, I'm kind of in the new environment, um, and I'm kind of like at the point where it's like, whew, just about settled in. I mean, I actually, even as I say that, a lot of little things to do, new things to buy, new things to hang. Um, but the vast majority is kind of done, and I can kind of relax that we're in good shape.
Well, so I have to ask you a question right off the bat. Your environment. Oh, you could have told me that you were in your old place, and I would have believed you. Did you do the replication on purpose so it wouldn't like destroy our view of you?
I actually it actually is slightly different. My kind of work area is right over here. I never used to have a window here, so this is kind of nice for me. But I hung my
Yeah.
really do, and my bookcase is kind of in the same spot except it's against the wall now, as opposed to sort of being behind me, because there's no actual wall here. And I tried to fake it, but it looked kind of dopey, just sort of sitting out in the middle of nowhere. So this is kind of the setup for a little while, unless I think of something different.
Don't go changing to try to please us. No, no, don't go changing,
I
Joe.
I do anything for, if anybody's willing to sit here and watch me yak for a little while, I'll do anything for them. So
By the way, we know that for a fact. You've proven that. It's
multiple
proven out.
times.
So just real quick, I mean, it is a happy hour.
Mm.
If you are not partaking of an adult beverage, that is 100% fine. I know a lot of you were surviving dry January, whatever that is. But tonight, Joe, I'll tell you what, I'm going with the Blackwell rum.
Nice.
Have you tried this yet?
I have not. I feel like I'm the last guy who hasn't
You're
tried
not the last guy. Don't worry about it. But
it.
I will tell you this: the reason I like it is it tastes like a bourbon.
Mm.
Like it almost smells like a rum. You know how rum has that kind of toffee caramel type of smell, but it actually drinks and tastes like a bourbon. If a bourbon had a little bit more
Ah,
fume to it.
okay.
And what are you
All
drinking
right. I like
tonight?
that. I actually, it's funny you asked, because I brought my bar. Okay. I was able to blow it up. You know, I spent a little time, and it's because I haven't had the room for it in a while. So I had the bar set up. I brought all the, everything
Mhm.
perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
ready to make make myself a Negroni for the evening, and I realized I didn't make ice. So, my old friend here, old standby.
Oh my gosh. Well, Bond drinks beer, not that beer,
Mm,
but he does drink beer.
I feel like he would. He might partake, but
By the way,
but that
Joe,
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen some of the comments. Like Adrianos17 says, "Beard another day." I think they're admiring or admonishing our beards.
Yeah.
And they weren't COVID beards. I mean, neither one of ours was a pandemic grown beard. Yours,
Mm.
you've had before the pandemic, and I grew because it was cold. Like I started to grow it about a month and 1 week ago, and
Yeah.
I've already trimmed it once. But is mine longer than yours now?
It could be. They're kind of neck and neck. Yeah, I am. As you probably know, I shaved mine for the my last video of the year, um, and I kind of since then I've been letting it grow back again. So it's not quite the Grizzly Adams it once was, but I have had to set it trim just a little bit. But I think you got me. I think you're edging me right now. I think you, and it's very distinguished, by the way.
Thank you. Well, it almost, so the funniest comment I had from somebody, some guy goes, "Dude, what's with the ridiculous dye job on your beard?" And I assume that's what he sounds like. But I'm like, does anybody really think I would dye my beard with these Nike like silver white like strips on my face? This is just how like God's doing it to me. It's like
What the
four
heck?
colors.
It's it's you kind of, I had a flashback of David Letterman. People used to ask him all the time if he was wearing a wig. He goes, "If I was wearing a wig, would I wear this one?"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. By the way, Vlad, hello, Vlad from the Ukraine. We got the Bond brain, Nicholas Slayton on there. James Bond aficionado, who, by the way, is going to go into surgery on Friday. Brian, good luck to you, man.
Oh yeah, good luck, Brian.
You're going to come out with superhuman parts. You're going to be better than ever. We got Jeff Phillips. We got Crystal in here, Peter Knight. We got about 168 of our close friends watching. And Joe, this is how we're going to run this tonight. We do have a couple things we've got to do, but these folks set the agenda. So I'm going to ask for people to start throwing out questions or topics they want to talk about. We're yours tonight. This is not our show. This is your show. So we're going to drink.
Absolutely.
And we could drink quietly, which would be awkward. But John Simmons, thank you. We have 169. I know you wanted to just say that number. By the way, put the kids to sleep if they're watching. I know Jeff Weibo's children watch this. Just be careful. This could get a little risque. A lot of people wishing Brian well. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we also have to, wristwatch check. Okay, Mike Poplowski. Thank you. Any chance to show this off? It's the No Time to Die puppy, the Omega, which hasn't left my wrist except when I sleep. So still kind of falling in love with it after all this time.
And I am wearing my Fitbit, which doesn't even have the correct date on it right now. So I just,
that'd be too easy.
Another thing that literally got taken out of a box about an hour ago.
Joe, we've got our first question, and it is hysterical from Great Wuta, he's a stalwart on this. Can future Joe steal me a copy of No Time to Die?
I asked future Joe. He said the world blows up before we ever see the movie. So
oh shit! Well, that's not good news. And did he also ask where the breakfast blend is?
He did. He was very adamant about getting his breakfast blend. It was pretty funny.
It is true. All right. So Rob Oldman says, "What do you think of the reshoot rumor?" You want me to go first on that one?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I think it is a little bit hogwashy. I think that, we talked about the Nokia phones. They've already replaced some of the images, it looks like, in some of the commercials. So could I see them doing that for the film itself? Yeah, and you know how this happens. I mean, this is an iceberg effect. Nokia raises their hand and somebody gets word of it, and suddenly all the brands are screaming. I will tell you that the brands, the few brands that I've spoken to, they they wouldn't have any changes. Sweaters and luggage is still going to be the same. And even the
Mm,
Omega watches. I mean, these things are not limited edition, so they'll be around allegedly for 10 years from now. So there's no need to change the No Time to Die watch. So maybe
yeah.
a phone. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I will say that I was kind of watching for this. For quite a while. I've been sort of, every time we have the conversation about whether or not the film's going to come out, is it going to get postponed, what does it mean? That was sort of like, as things were going on, I kind of was wondering when the brands were going to show up and say, hey, wait a second, our stuff is getting flown outdated while this movie sits on the shelf. Nobody's fault, but what do we do about it? So yeah, I think and Tim Hansen sort of said the same thing. Why do reshoots just use CGI to
Yeah.
replace out the tech? And I think that's probably, it's interesting when you see these stories, like you said, they sort of blow up online or whatever. Sometimes the story can be accurate, but yet they kind of blow it up to where, but it wasn't this big a story.
Yeah.
You're kind of making a bigger deal out of this than it is. So I kind of feel like probably was a very minor point that was brought up. Maybe they do have to do a little tweaking here and there, but I don't see Daniel Craig and cast coming back to all stand around a phone or another piece of tech.
I don't need it either. And listen, there's going to be a series of these rumors all the way through to whenever we see the movie, because we're all hungry. The press is hungry. There's no other big movie that people are really talking about, even outside of the Bond world right now. So anything is going to be a cracker in the desert. And by the way, this is a really a great thing that Bud West reminded me to ask people a very simple question, which we usually do, but I've been drinking. What is everyone drinking? Everybody in the chat room, list if you are having an adult beverage, and even if you're not, what are you drinking? And in the meantime, Joe, and I'm going to let you feel this one first. We do have a question. No Time to Die. What do you think about it going to Netflix?
Well, again, I would much rather just have a theatrical release. I'd like to see life go back to normal. I'd like to have unicorns and kittens. I'd like a lot of things that I may not get. Who knows?
Unicorns and kittens.
Yeah, to me, having it, I feel like if it were to go straight to a streaming service, I just want it to be a different up and comer streaming service. Only because I feel like straight to Netflix has this kind of ring to it, like wah wah, which might not be fair. I mean, I like Netflix as much as anybody.
It's like and the Saved by the Bell reunion.
Right, yeah.
What?
It's like, do we want to see the Saved by the Bell reunion or watch this new James Bond movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, it'll be a very weird new set of questions if it does go straight to streaming.
All right, so let me play a little game with you, and everybody in the chat room can play with this too. Keep, kill, or marry. From a streaming standpoint, if Bond was going to a streaming platform, keep, kill, or marry. In other words, put it in priority order. Netflix, Apple, or HBO Max.
I feel like, incidentally, I probably would have, had it not been for Wonder Woman 84, I might have had a more favorable opinion of HBO Max. But then I saw that sticker, and I'm
what was that movie? I love the first Wonder Woman movie. And this was like, seriously, 15 minutes in, I looked at Danielle and I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like Power Rangers.
Yeah, this was bad. I literally, I swear to you, watching it, I had flashbacks of all movies, Supergirl from 1984. I'm like, this is that bad.
But what do you think? What order would you put that in from a hierarchy standpoint?
You know what? Honestly, I'm kind of just sort of playing with words as I say that. I mean, I don't think any of them have any more prestige than the rest. I almost feel like I should probably take back what I said about Netflix, because honestly, I was a fan of Netflix in the early days.
Yeah.
When you used to literally get the DVDs in the mail, because they had a great selection of really hard to find stuff. So I used to find movies that I'd been wanting to see for years, couldn't find them anywhere. Now it's kind of, once they started with the streaming, it got kind of flaky. I mean, you can still get the stuff in the mail, but then here's the thing. I've literally, and I mean this literally, I've literally never got onto Netflix because I had a film in mind I wanted to see. And I went onto Netflix to see if it was there. It is ever there. So basically, like, these weird little random movies show up there, but like it's not the place to go for.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. And interesting, Shane Mackey says, for example, Netflix, Amazon, HBO, any streaming, I'll just be good with it all.
Right.
Which I don't blame him. I think everybody feels that way. But I will say this, for some reason, I know there's been this discussion with Amazon and MGM, and people are like, oh my gosh, could they buy the Bond franchise and launch No Time to Die on Prime? For some reason, and I like Prime, I really do like their content, but for some reason, Prime just feels like it's something you get free when you get that extra shipping off of Amazon. It's like when I get my premium shipping, I get Prime for free. Whereas HBO, it's like, oh, they have HBO unique movies, and even Netflix has a little bit more prestige. And Apple, to me, Apple is Safin. Apple, excuse the white mask, but Apple is this mysterious person I don't know too much about. What is it? Could it be good? Maybe it's good, but man, Apple's got the money to do it, I guess.
Yeah, they do. It's funny, but I sort of keep hearing about Apple as a streaming service, and I'm saying to myself, but I still haven't heard of anything on it. I think they had one show with Jennifer Aniston like a year ago. And I don't think I've heard of anything since. So I don't know.
All right. So we got to throw out a lifeline, by the way, Joe. Poor Nathan Searle, like 19 times in the chat room, and we've only been on for 5 minutes. He's like, talk about Bond 26. Will there be a Bond 26?
Yeah, we're going to get Bond 26 before we get Bond 25.
Okay. So yes, Virginia, there will be a Santa Claus. And yes, Nathan, there will be a Bond 26. Will it be next year? No. Will it be the year after? No. Have they chosen the new Bond? No. But that's all we know, right, Joe? Do we know anything else about Bond 26?
I know as much as he does. I don't know a thing. And honestly, after this debacle, I'm putting it this way. Just imagine, go back to about 2 years after Spectre, hearing people say, yeah, we're not even thinking about the next movie because we're so tired from doing the last one. Well, how exhausted do you think people are going to be after this debacle to get them started on the next film? So again, your guess is as good as mine. If James Bond is even a thing after this, I hope so. But I don't know. I did hear somebody made a post this afternoon, and I was about possibly moving the film again to 2022. And I was about to make a wisecrack, and then I literally did one of these where I typed it out, and I went, nah, I better not. But I was right about to write. And just think, 5 years ago, no one thought we would ever see a Bond for the 60th anniversary year. Well,
I too, Joe, have heard about the rumors and the discussion about October not happening. If I add that to my opinion, I think October has a less than 50% chance. I think it probably has about a 30%, and that's not based on any scientific findings. But here's my explanation for that. There's been a resounding discussion about an end of the year release as well, like a holiday release. And I don't know, a lot of people are talking about that, but I don't want to fall into a trap, because the last time we talked about, well, it has to be released in 2020 because there's product placements and there's contracts. Well, look at us now. How funny do we look? So, I mean, to me, I've almost become numb to the waiting. Is it October? Is it Christmas? Is it 2022? I don't know. Look, I want to still see the movie. I just don't know if I care about the new date.
Well, right. I mean, how could you? I mean, it is honestly, like, whenever we do these sort of speculations at this point, we can, try to look at what's happening and compile a reasonable projection from there. Doesn't amount to a hill of beans. I mean, you can put your head to the ground and try to listen as close as you want. Doesn't matter. I mean, I remember at one point, at one point over the summer, it might have been you and I talking, and I remember at the time, America had such a spike that we were like, maybe the UK won't even let us over there. Maybe they're going to not let us go over. And I remember I said, but this thing changes so, and it could not have been a month later, where we were going down and UK was spiking. So it is so random. It's so hard to even venture a reasonable guess.
It is. And by the way, there's some craziness going on in the chat room, which I love this because we wanted chaos. We got chaos. The Bond Armory, Ray Cromfeld says, is DZ really hanging up his holster or will he pull a Connery and come back? My holster. I wake up every day. I jump out of bed. I can't wait to see what the Bond Armory is doing. And then you've got S. Rusgar, Simon, who says controversial, but 25 is a good number to end on. Simon, and who hurt you? Who hurt you?
I'll tell you, honestly, I mean, I when I say that, I will clarify. I don't, Bond is like any other property. It's not going away, especially these days.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like, are we going to get a 26 after the 25 the way we, somehow it'll, go on.
But it's dependent on who has the franchise. Like, if Eon Denjak still have it, big question mark. But if a new streaming or new company gets it, they're going to want to kind of make hay while the sun shines. I don't think they're going to wait more than 2 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Honestly, that's been my thinking on it, is quite literally depending on who ends up with this property. It could be a long, tiring, slow, quiet wait, or it could be the total opposite, where somebody grabs it and then boom, they want to do things with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, almost like Disney buying Star Wars. They're not going to buy it and just sort of sit on it. As soon as they get it, boom, we got to get something out quick. So it could be that quick. So,
by the way,
it's
sorry, go ahead.
It's one extreme or the other.
I agree. And Joe Hahn has a very unique and specific question. He says, how would you guys feel about moving away from Aston Martin for a bit? Maybe the next Bond can have something unique like Roger with his Lotus and Pierce with his BMWs. What do you think, Joe? Are you married to Aston Martin or you want him to move on?
I have a hunch that after Bond 25, I will be very ready to move on. And I hate to say that because I like that Bond has stuck with a brand that has been around since the beginning. There is something to be said for that. Just the pastiche of saying Aston Martin, it kind of goes with James Bond. But I kind of feel like after Bond 25, it's going to feel like we're watching a 2-3 hour Aston Martin commercial.
Yeah.
So kind of, I wouldn't mind seeing them venture out a little more. Like you said, Roger Moore had the Lotus. Why not play a little bit? Pierce had the BMW.
Or how about something crazy? What about this? Have Bond drive a car that isn't sponsored or substantiated by an actual car maker. Like have him have something, right? Have him have, like Q came up with this amazing design. It is freaking Q Branch. He came up with this amazing design. It kind of looks like this, but it doesn't look like that. To me, that's something that's unique.
Yeah. Yes. And again, I kind of feel like I don't want to point fingers, but the product placement in general has become it. I mean, it's getting to where, like, the probably the biggest sinner at this point for me are
don't say it's me. We know it's me. Oh,
the liquor product placement, because I feel like there's been some brands that have like,
what? Screw you, Joe. Screw you.
I'll the one that pops to mind, and again, not picking on anybody's particular brand of vodka, if this is yours, but I remember when Smirnoff was showing up in the Bond films, and I kind of went, I don't know if I see Smirnoff as being a Bond vodka. I mean, it's got a Russian name, but I don't know.
But it goes way back, like to Dr. No. He was drinking Smirnoff.
True. Very true.
No sponsorship back then.
Is that right? I kind of wondered if they were doing that back then. Yeah, I mean, basically, I kind of feel like I wish that the filmmakers just sort of let their creativity flow a little bit and
I agree.
decided, I think this is what Bond might be drinking here, or I
Yeah.
think this is what Bond might be driving there. Not everything has to be a product placement. I get how movies work,
Yeah.
but still.
And that's how Fleming worked. By the way,
Yeah.
from Tailors with Love, Pete Brooker, who, by the way, Pete Brooker and Matt Spazer had a big announcement today of a
Sure
book that's
did.
coming out. So we're all really excited about that, especially Bond Lifestylers. That's a big
Mm.
announcement. But Pete has this to give. He says Bond versus Godzilla. I assume he's talking about a new title of a film that he wants, Bond versus Godzilla.
Another trailer I saw that didn't exactly blow me away
Only Pete. Oh,
recently.
wait a minute. Stanley Tatum is going to get Joe Darlington's ire up. Let's see what it does to Joe when he hears this question. Joe, what do you think about Christopher Nolan potentially leaving Warner Brothers, and should Eon approach him for Bond 26?
I'd be fine with it. I'd be totally fine with it. I don't know why this would get my ire up, frankly. No, I think that'd be really interesting. And if they do, frankly, I hope they get him to commit to a loose trilogy. It doesn't have to be an exact trilogy with an arc that ends at the third one, but at least a very loosely connected 3 films in a row. Because I don't want it to be the Dark Knight trilogy. But
Yeah.
it is kind of frustrating when a film series like Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, when you realize they didn't have any kind of plan whatsoever. So I'd like to see just some sort of a plan to get us through a few films. Again, not finishing one film and then just all sitting around going, should we make another movie someday? So, but yeah, I think he would be really good. I think I see people going like, please not Christopher Nolan. I think he would do a great James Bond film, because I think he's smart enough to sort of dial back some of the things that he does. Like, I don't want to see James Bond wrong, I think he'll be smart enough to handle it correctly. And frankly, if you saw Tenet, it was a Bond movie with a weird sci-fi twist.
Well, that's what scares me. And I'll be frank. I think I lean towards the no Nolan. I think Nolan would build, and I actually chose that word specifically. I think he would build a very solid James Bond movie that looked amazing. I don't know if he would have the fun James Bond movie that would take me along for an adventure and a ride. And outside of Inception, the reason I say that is a lot of his films I have to watch again and again. And then I found out, I don't know if you know this, he's actually been doing these vlogs with explaining each one of his films. He did it with Tenet. He did it with several of his films. And any filmmaker that does that, I have a problem with that. And the diehard Nolan fans say, oh, his films get so good on the third time watching. And I'm like, no. I mean, I do I want that? Now, if he can, now hear me out. If he can dial his Nolan back, if he can dial it back, I think he can make a good film.
I hear what you're saying. I honestly can't recall seeing a bad Christopher Nolan film. Going back to the early days, I think everything he's done has kind of blown me away.
So you like the one with Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway? And
not so much that one.
Oh wait, don't say that.
There you go. I stand corrected. Maybe not every single one, but put it this way: I've never walked out of a Nolan film feeling like I did with Wonder Woman 84. Like he doesn't. Sometimes his movies are much, and maybe they do too much, and they try too much, and they aspire to try to be a little bigger than they are. But he never leaves you flat. He never kind of leaves you feeling like, okay, better.
That's
you know what I'm
fair.
saying? I mean, he kind of brings his A game every single time. He's not a middling player. So
I don't disagree. And by the way, Nicholas Slayton, said Tenet is good in one viewing, but it's better on repeat. Now I'm off to duck the thrown beer bottles. Yes, we're going to throw beer bottles at you. By the way, great discussion point we've got to bring up. All right, here we go. and everybody in the chat room, I need you to play along. Does everybody want Bond 26 with a new actor to have a reboot essence to it, either introducing or reintroducing Bond, or putting him into a new era or a new time frame? Do you want a reboot, or do you just want a continuous flow and a mission on its own, as if Bond has been established? And while the chat room is answering, Joe, I'd like you to answer that.
That's another one. That's another toughie, because I kind of feel like they've painted themselves into a corner. I don't see how you just swap out Daniel Craig and have him walk into the same Bond's office, the same Moneypenny sitting outside, the same queue. I don't see how he just walks in and we pretend nothing happened, because they've invested so much into the origin story of Daniel Craig's James Bond, etc. I feel like they're gonna have to do a reboot, and I wish they didn't. I really wish they didn't. And they could try. I mean, they could just sort of say, wink at the audience and say, we know, but we're not going to recast everybody. So, I mean, they kept Judi Dench in Casino Royale. Who knows?
Yeah, sure. And by the way, I wouldn't mind that essence if they had a couple of known players. But I'm seeing that the chat room is going nuts.
Yeah.
I would say most of them do not want a reboot. And maybe it's a series of it takes time to reboot. Sometimes it takes a whole movie to reboot. And do you waste time with that, or do you get right into the action and craziness of a good Bond film? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I remember there was a series that just finished up. It was called From Rewatch with Love, and they were reviewing all the Bond films, and they're very good. And they kind of harped on the reboot aspect of Casino Royale, and they were sort of making the point of like, I know reboots was sort of the trendy thing at the time, but did you really have to harp on the idea that this is a reboot? Could you have just put this guy in there,
right,
and just proceeded?
Yeah.
And I play with that in my mind. I don't know the answer. I don't know if I would commit one way or another. If calling it a reboot was the way to go, because they just kind of worked around it. Because there were a lot of things in that film that probably don't make really good sense if you didn't reboot it. But yeah, I mean,
I would say Gabe Tricks has a good point. He says in all capitals, which means he's screaming, return to the time of Fleming. And that holds a lot of discussion points that people in the chat room are saying right now, because a lot of people are like, just put it during the Cold War era. If one of these streaming platforms gets it, it may be a series, or it may be, imagine a movie launched on streaming every year that is a series of connected stories. But you've got to wait, Christmas time every year, that is your Bond 2-hour, and it takes place during the Cold War, during Fleming's time. Could you then, it's a reboot because it's a new environment and a new time, but it's not a reboot of the character. And by the way, you don't need an overtly PC Bond. You could have Bond with all his foibles and fallible nature as well.
Yeah, which, quite frankly, I think is one of the reasons why you see so many period films and shows lately, because we are going back to a time when people weren't so correct.
You mean like Cobra Kai?
Without conflict, dude. So you take your asthma and your peanut allergies and any other made up bullshit.
Don't do it. You're not Johnny. You're no Johnny.
Hey, I tell you, if I stop doing James Bond, I'm going to do being Johnny Lawrence.
By the way, folks who are watching this, we got 200 plus people. I will tell you, Joe and I have actually talked about that off air, that he's like, you know what? One day I'm just going to do a video that I'm the Cobra Kai guy now.
All right. Welcome to being Cobra Kai. But you actually kind of got my brain jogged a little bit.
Good.
You know what I could actually even see? Because I started to say to myself, they could totally do a series like on Netflix or whatever else, do a full-blown series, 8-12 episodes, where they do all the books and each episode. But then I went, wait a second. You could act, because why would you blow the whole thing in one shot, right? you could frankly do 8 episodes or 12 episodes of one book.
Yes.
And because I can remember going all the way back to film, taking film classes in school. And one of the things they said is that one of the best source materials for a 2-hour film is a novella. Well, they said like a novel's, it's really, it's hard to get that all into a 2-hour film. You have to really truncate, but a novella, you can kind of play a little bit. I kind of feel like Fleming's books are probably a good length to honestly flesh out a little bit and turn each episode into maybe like a chapter, maybe not exactly whatever, but 8 to 12 episodes for one book. I could see it.
Okay, so let's play that game. Let's say a Netflix or something else puts the money, says this is our cash cow. This is the new Game of Thrones, and they literally do a book every single year, like you said, with chapters 8 to 12. What I think works in that is it almost turns it into like a Doctor Who situation. So if you have 15, books that are being done accurately with chapters, of course you're going to have to change out your actor. But like with Doctor Who, not that he's going to go into a time machine or anything like that, but you can have this natural connection over time of why the character changes face or voice. I mean, you can have, that cliffhanger at the end to the next book, 4 years into it when he's getting a little bit old, and have something done. I mean, it's explainable when it's a series. And by the way, I think SIS Training Gear, Taylor Scholl says, a really good point about this whole discussion. Bond is a time capsule for the era that it's in. That's what makes them so great to watch over and over again. So this has been a discussion that a lot of people have had of, don't watch a Bond movie with 2021 eyes. Immerse yourself. Just like I just watched North by Northwest. I didn't look at it like, oh my God, the special effects suck. I took it all in with the fashion of the times. And boy, I tell you what, it does transport you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. You have to watch these things with, in fact, I just did a podcast recently talking about Diamonds Are Forever, which, I joke, I said, I kind of have a bad reputation for always picking on Diamonds Are Forever, but it does sort of take you back to that moment in time, very much so, in where they are, the look, the style, everything. So yeah, point very well taken.
By the way, this is a Bond happy hour. I get it. But for those of you that haven't seen Hitchcock's North by Northwest and you like Bond, you've got to watch that movie. I just watched it for the first time. I'm so ashamed, but this is my confessional, just a few weeks ago. And I drank in every moment. I paused it. I looked at it. I researched it. What a phenomenal film. Anyway, that's my little Hitchcock moment.
I've almost never rooted for a remake of anything. And this is a film that I think would very much be, don't remake it, it's perfect, leave it alone. But honestly, a while ago, I said, who would do a great job with that is, and my reasoning for this was Ocean's 11, right? If you've ever seen the original Ocean's 11 with Frank Sinatra versus the new one with Clooney, I said to myself, I could see Steven Soderbergh doing North by Northwest and having George Clooney play the Cary Grant role.
Oh, George Clooney would be very good. You know who else I think would be really good? Hear me out. Is Brosnan today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the Thomas Crown Affair, I mean, that guy is kind of him. He's that advertising guy. A bit of a chode, but likable at the same time. He becomes even more likable. I don't want to give it away. If you haven't seen it, just go watch it. By the way, Joe, we've got to pause for a second. You want to know why?
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Do you want to guess? Because I have to go to the bathroom? No, it's not because I have to go to the bathroom. We have something that we have to do. So I've got to pull this up. I have something that I want to share with everybody because I don't know if you saw this, but on my birthday, I had a situation where I had a little bit of a contest. It was kind of fun. And lo and behold, I basically said, I'm going to give away a couple fun prizes. And I said, everybody needs to post a picture of themselves on Instagram, and you've got to have these different hashtags of some of the different prizes. And yes, we actually had a lot of people. So I'm going to see if I can share this picture. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hold on. That's not it. That's not it either. Well, that's never good. I might not be able to share this. Why am I not able to share this? Give me 1 second. It's worth it, I think. But we have chosen a winner earlier this evening before I signed on with you. And I really wanted to show you this picture. You could tell because I'm trying to buy time, because it's phenomenal. It's so good. And by the way, this was randomly chosen. So that's really important to, can you, no, that's not it.
Says you've started screen sharing.
That's definitely not it.
Adrianus is asking me to sing. Careful.
I want you to
'cause
sing.
It's been known to happen.
I think it wants you to buy time by singing. Well, we're not going to show the picture. We'll show it on Instagram. But the winner is Dead Spartan 007.
Ah, very cool.
Crazy name. But Dead Spartan 007 on Instagram is the winner of the prize package. I'm going to be communicating with them, find out who they are, and I will be sending off the package. If they are in the room, weirder things have happened. No, not too much rum, Nicholas. That was too much rum. I had like 3 sips so far. Believe me, it would take more than that, unfortunately. I've got like pandemic liver. All right. I could take a lot of rum is what I'm saying. But I will show that on Instagram. We'll have that posted later tonight. But congratulations, Dead Spartan 007. I would love to know what that name means. Do we have Martin Lavar? Is he the winner? He's saying, thanks, man. Well, let me know if the person who won this is in the chat room. Say, oh, yes, he's saying I won. Martin, great job, Martin. And what a great picture. He has, yeah, that's great. He has a picture of him like hanging in the RGT jacket. But some of you did some incredible jobs. Some people did videos. It was really well done. So congratulations. Your prizes will be coming and more contests to come. More contests to come, which will be nice. All right, back to the
and by the way, happy birthday. We should say it was not that long ago. Was it a week ago?
Oh, it's Martin's birthday because it was just my birthday.
No,
too.
You, dude, you.
It was less than a week ago, January 30th. It was this past Saturday. Thank you for the well wishes, Joe.
You're very welcome.
Where's my edible fruit?
Sorry, it's I got. You know how the New Jersey mail has been recently.
Oh yeah, it checks in the mail. I got Joe's Christmas card, which is phenomenal, by the way. It was his whole family, extended and otherwise, holding things from the pandemic that we dearly prize, like toilet paper and cleaner. But by the way, Tim Hand, speaking of pandemic, says, David Zaritsky, what does the wife think of the face warmer? It sounds like an innuendo, but she loves it. She's been wanting me to grow back my beard. Every year she asks me to grow back the beard. She loves the beard. But I actually am going to be losing the beard in about a week because of something happening. So I will be losing the beard in about a week.
Okay.
And Joe, you want to? Yeah, I'll probably hint towards that towards the end. But
okay.
You want to hear how I'm losing the beard?
Yeah. How are you losing the beard?
So of course I'm turning it into a video. I'm going to shave with the same exact shaver, electric shaver that Brosnan would have used, product placement, in Die Another Day, to go from shaggy beard, prisoner of war, to clean shaven, Brioni, this and that. And I'm going to do the whole shave with no other method, like full on, no cuts. And I think my whole face is just going to be wrecked.
Okay.
I think it's baloney, but we'll see.
You're going to leave like a little 5 o'clock shadow or?
Oh, no. I'm going to go bald.
You're going baby bottom.
Like gym floor bald. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how good of a job it does. And I don't think it's going to do that. First of all, it's old technology, but we'll see. I think that was movie magic. I think they said, okay, put the razor and now go and shave really closely with a Bic and then come back and put the razor to your face.
Yeah, of course you only catch for the last second,
Yeah. By the way, Joe Silock, our good friend Joe Silock, Bond enthusiast, says, have a medic standing by. I think that's a very good advice.
To stop the bleeding.
Gabe Trick says, are you going to walk through a hotel lobby like he did too? I thought about it, but I think wearing a mask in a hotel lobby would just kill the authenticity.
Nice. My favorite part of that movie, easily, him walking through the lobby in his wet pajamas.
By the way, is it me or has there been a ton of Brosnan discussion in the last 6 months? Like, I don't know if this is that resurgence that we've been looking for because Craig has kind of gone silent a little bit, but the Brosnan films are being re-explored. Die Another Day, people are like, and by the way, chat room, check this out. Do this. Do you think Die Another Day loses it before he goes to Cuba, after he goes to Cuba, or when he gets to the Ice Palace? Because I think it's actually good right through, even to the end of the Cuba scene. I like all that. I think it kind of it blows itself up when it gets to the Ice Palace. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I would say pretty much as soon as Bond is in the what do you call it, the virtual reality shooting range, that's pretty much right there for me is when it goes south, because right after that is the invisible car, Iceland, etc. So I'd say that's it holds up perfectly well throughout most of the Cuba stuff.
Yeah. I even think the Blade scene, Madonna aside, I think the Blade scene is fine. I mean, it's very Fleming-esque. By the way, Billy Robertson had a question. Did you guys take a look at Brosnan's recent art prints? I haven't seen the most recent ones, but I want his earplug one that he did when filming a film. I forget which film, but he's a really accomplished artist. Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually.
He's really accomplished.
Nice.
Oh,
by the way, I'm not intentionally. Well, I kind of am. A lot of people are asking how Volume 2 is coming along. Everyone knows that's my favorite questions. Not totally ignoring those, but it's coming along. It's going.
The guy just went through a move of house and home.
Yeah.
So that all right. Volume 2. I love playing this game, Joe. I'm going to top off my rum while I do this. And I know how much you hate product placement, so watch it go.
I hate product placement. Shameless.
Do you think Volume 2...
Shameless product placement.
Do you think... Yeah, exactly. Do you think Volume 2 will come out before the October premiere of No Time to Die or after?
You would think so. They're so generous by giving me more time. Every time,
yeah.
I keep saying I'm going to get it out before the next film comes out, and every time it comes close, I'm like, oh crap, I'm not going to make it. They're so nice, and they say, Joe, we'll give you a couple more months, so just relax and do your thing. So, the least I could do is get the sucker done. Frank Wilson says Volume 2 is just a rumor.
It's like the reshoots. They're not going to change the phone.
Right.
They're not going to. It's not going to be a Volume 2. By the way, Volume 2 is just like No Time to Die in the sense that when it comes, everybody's just going to be so excited and they're all going to get it. So stop complaining. By the way, thank you. Amiga Bond Watches, Lorenzo says he did it while filming GoldenEye. Wow, that goes back a bit. And good old Brendan Collins baritone says the Blade scenes just goes too far like the rest of the film. Yeah, it kind of just, it turned into that bombastic Bond. Wow. Which I don't think No Time to Die is going to be guilty of that. I don't think they said, we need to throw the kitchen sink at this. I don't think they're going to go to that extent.
Jerome said my favorite part is when Halle Berry says "Yo mama." Jerome, have I used that clip enough when I talk about that film?
It's definitely the most quoted.
It is.
By the way, a lot of people are saying, how do you take these great actresses and Brosnan, who's got some good acting chops, great acting chops, and make a film like that? You kind of, do you blame it on the director? Is that the easy way out?
I think when it comes to Tamahori, you certainly can. I think it was, seriously, this guy was pushing for the code name thing to be part of his movie. So I think, Yeah, I'd say he went above and beyond and overboard, and I think people should have kind of reined him in a little bit. So yeah, I'd
Burn
say
the
that's
witch.
that's fair.
Burn the
There
witch.
you go.
By
Exactly.
the way, Bond Armory has a game that we're all going to play. Chat room, get your fingers ready. He asks a very simple question. What gadget are you most looking forward to in No Time to Die? And I'm going to go first, if you don't mind, Joe, while the chat
Please.
room starts typing away. I have to admit, I want to see what this freaking watch does. There's rumors of an EMP. There's going to be spoilers probably. FYI, earmuffs for those of you avoiding. They're saying that there's a lockpick, electronic lockpick. There's explosive device. Like there's all these rumors. Q puts something, you could see on the commercial, he puts something on the back of the watch because Bond has this watch during retirement. It's not like Q says, here's your new watch. There's got to be something that he applies to the watch that adds this whole level of gadget. I want to see what this watch does. But, you got cars, you got planes. I mean, what are you looking forward to gadget wise?
Before I go there, here's a question. Do you think retired agents still get gadgets? Because I say to myself, I wonder if it's like how ex-presidents and their families still get Secret Service as bodyguards. I wonder if you're an ex-agent, if you're still expected to sort of be prepared in case one of your old friends comes looking for you.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate, except for this that I'm holding in my hand right now, which is the script that wasn't shown in Spectre when Bond left. He wrote this long note to them and basically said, go take your MI6 and stuff it where the sun don't shine. I think based on that, that's not a script, everybody. No, I don't know. He didn't leave. Did he leave on good terms? I guess he did.
Well,
he got his DB5 back.
Well, there you go. Right. I mean, he's got his DB5 tricked out, by the way. So, they didn't take away the machine guns when he left the Secret Service.
By the way, Austin Beeman agrees with you. He goes, there's a 00 surplus store. That's
there you
it.
Go.
They just go to the surplus store. Easy.
Nicholas Slayton says, Joe, Trevelyan's Q Branch watch was still good after 9 years. There you go.
Exactly. I mean, do we throw away our stuff just because there's a new movie? So, Joe, do you have like a gadget, even in the ones in the trailers, where you're like, yeah, I want to see that implemented?
I'm trying to think. Is there anything from the new movie that I don't know. I think what was interesting was kind of, I assume there's a little thing that comes down the elevator shaft, I think, with little gadgets to kind of go around.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what that's about.
But is that from Q Branch or is that from nefarious people?
It looks pretty nefarious to me, yeah.
Because it's glowing red. Glowing red means evil.
Yeah, this is true. The airplane, that thingy that looks like the switch.
The switch.
Curious to see what that does, but I think we've probably seen what it does already.
I'll tell you what, I got to give Calvin Dyson props here because when I first saw that, I'm like, ugh. Is that, kind of the craziness of Die Another Day. But it also does get back to the fun and whimsy of like Moonraker and nonsensical, fun stuff. I mean, almost Spy Kids type stuff. So, it's so crazy that it could work, the way it jumps into the water like that. So I'm kind of glad that they put that little bit of fantasy, we're science fact, not science fiction. I kind of like that they did that.
I think Calvin's got every Bond fan saying that now.
He's got me saying it. I don't know.
Yeah.
By the way, Joseph Hemmer wants flaming tailpipes. Don't we all?
I also saw somebody ask if it had Austin said, does the watch have a Viagra compartment? I think it's just an injection. It goes it's right under the watch. It's a straight injection.
First of all, whoever said that, all right, clearly doesn't know that Cialis lasts for 36 hours, whereas Viagra only lasts for 8. So with Cialis, you can pick your time, as opposed to Viagra really helps you pick the time. So come on, folks, Cialis for those moments that you want to create, not the brand.
Adriana's asked if I would please sing over any spoilers. I'll be happy to. You just
You
pick
might
the
as well
song.
sing for the rest. By the way, Joe, what exactly do you sing that everybody's referencing?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if like an old YouTube video of us in the Bahamas maybe resurfaced or something.
I think you did sing Thunderbolt at one time though, didn't you?
Not Thunderball. I don't think so.
What's your favorite
Just not
Bond
that I
song
can.
to sing? Like if you're alone, what's that song that you just start to like sing? And I know it's Billie Eilish, but besides Billie Eilish,
You know, it's funny. This I don't know if it was on purpose or whatever, but at the beginning of this year, I kind of had this weird '80s kick where I was listening to '80s mixes nonstop, and I was listening to it on Pandora, and the only Bond song that they would sort of rotate was "A View to a Kill," and I can't tell you how often I'd be driving. I mean, it's because with the move and everything, I'm driving back and forth like I don't know how many times. So I'm dancing to the fire. Like I'm just, and it's so great when you use the noise canceling headphones because you can't hear yourself destroying the music. You think you're singing, you know, like a.
Wait, was that your singing voice? Because that was so melodic. I mean, it was
right?
like you and
Doesn't
Usher.
it make you want to hear more? Yeah.
Yes. By the way, Mathieu Auclair, bonsoir, mon ami. Comment allez-vous? Says, laugh out loud, who are you working for? Well, clearly Cialis and not Viagra.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
By the way, we've been asked no spoilers. So even though you have a beautiful singing voice, we're going to try to avoid spoilers, which we try to do from time to time, which is good. All right, keep the questions coming. While we're doing that, I do want to talk about something kind of fun coming up. Question for you, Joe. Are we going to be getting a Super Bowl No Time to Die trailer?
It's funny you bring that up because I did think about that recently, and I remember thinking like, wow, this is going to be the second Super Bowl where we got a Super Bowl trailer and no movie. Do I think they'll do another one? Maybe. I have to wonder if. See, I'm saying to myself, you know, as much as we grumble about Charlie Brown and the football,
yeah,
I say to myself, if I'm working in the marketing department, I have to be sort of having that same feel.
Right.
And it's almost like somebody somewhere is saying, so shouldn't we do a Super Bowl commercial? And everybody's like, do we? What if? Are we going to do this again? So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm wondering, like I literally am saying to myself, like, I think even the powers that be must be in that same mode where it's like, I don't know if this movie's coming out in April either. I don't know if I should be marketing, spending money on new commercials. What if it doesn't again? So they have to be as gun shy as we all are.
I think it's dangerous. I'll go that far, marketing wise, to put a Super Bowl ad for Bond. And so I'm of two minds. First of all, from a marketing standpoint, they could do it because we need to show Joe Public, not Joe Darlington, who's a diehard fan, but Joe Public, that Bond is still alive out there. It hasn't actually premiered, despite what you may think. It didn't come out last year. It's coming out this year in October, and we feel very confident of that. So there's that. But the second part of me says, you know, you're going to be spending $15 million, however much. Well, Super Bowl ads won't be as much this year. Let's say $9 million to put out a Super Bowl ad. And boy, you're putting a lot of eggs in your basket because it is well known in the industry, even beyond us Bond crazies, that you've already spent a lot on marketing. And now they're going to see a Super Bowl ad. It's almost like, you know, me, you know, going down and wearing a diamond necklace, you know, in a place that I shouldn't be wearing a diamond necklace. It's like, really? Did you go and do that? And we've seen this before, as opposed to, you know, letting Alexa and letting Nespresso put out their ads, and, you know, Godzilla versus King Kong, which we know 100% is coming because it's coming to HBO Max. Let them have all their fun.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And somebody said, did I lose it already? Jeff Phillips said they should do a commercial honoring the patience of all the fans, which I completely agree with.
That's never going
I'm
to
with
happen.
you. Yeah, why do I feel like that's not going to happen either?
Yeah.
I say to myself, like, you're in charge of the marketing division for this film. I feel like every step you take is like, am I comfortable spending this? I'll call it maybe money. Am I going to spend this money that may or may not pay off? Like, how do I know this movie's even going to come out?
Yep.
Am I going to be on the hook if somebody says, why do you spend millions and millions of dollars advertising this film, knowing it's, I don't know, you told me April. So, yeah.
Unless, and this is the Bond fan in me, unless
Mm.
it's going to be something really unique. But to Tim Hands and everybody else out there, and Tim Hands, we're not going to give any more spoilers. You don't have to hover over the mute button. I appreciate that. If there's something unique, like if you give me 30 seconds of a scene, but only 30 seconds of a scene, then I'm going to eat that up because we're all kind of desperate. Joe, we need to change this conversation from Super Bowl to a really good topic, but it's going to take everybody as we reach the second hour of this happy hour, maybe a sip of their libation. By the way, I toast everybody for joining us. It's Wednesday. I had a particularly difficult, not bad, just challenging Monday and Tuesday work-wise, just because there were so many things going on. How many times at work do you think you have your day plan and then just all this grizzle comes? So this is so great to spend this with friends and see people on the chat room that I recognize. But Airbus 320 fan has a great question, and it's a big one. So we're all going to play along, chat room included. Who do you want to be the next Bond? Why? And what direction should the series go? Should it be more like Moore? Should it be more like Dalton? Should it be more like Connery? Joe, who are you thinking for the next Bond?
I feel like this question now is kind of getting like I have standardized answers now for these. My possibilities is I got three possibilities.
Okay.
It's modern and serious, modern and light, or old school. So I feel like either we're going to go back and do period stuff, which frankly I think they're going to save for a streaming service, if I had to guess. Big screen, I could see them wanting to stay serious and keep going forward and kind of getting a little more Bourne Identity than they already have. But if I had to take a guess, and frankly, probably this is sort of where I am at, I wouldn't mind modern, but just a little lighter. Not a lot lighter. I don't want the Kingsman.
Right.
I don't want comedy. I don't want parody. But I would like to see a lot of color, a good-looking Bond in good-looking places with good-looking Bond girls. Henry Cavill for me is perfectly fine. Henry Cavill with his original accent, stop doing American accents.
Yeah.
Every time I see him interviewed and he uses his regular accent, I'm like, Jesus, this guy's like 10 times more charming in real life than he is on screen. How does that work? So that's where I could see it going. I kind of feel like, and it's funny too, because when they got him doing Superman, they kind of gave him that slick George Reeves hair. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, what is that about?
Yeah.
But honestly, I think he literally looks like a guy. Like, I almost feel like he looks sort of like the Bond from the video games. Which ones am I thinking of? The just before they did the Brosnans, I think it's Agent Under Fire. I think it was.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like that guy, So I'm thinking like he's kind of oddly perfect. So that's kind of where I see it.
I think Cavill, whatever you pronounce it, would be really amazing if they did a period piece. Because again, I go back to the Man from U.N.C.L.E. He looks the part. He can act the part in that time frame. I think he would be perfect if they did
Mm.
like a series, for example, or a period Bond. And quite frankly, I think he'd be good, period. But I will say this, for those of you that I see a lot of like, no, Henry, no, Henry,
Yeah.
I get it. But somebody put a compilation together, maybe I'll put a link to it in here, of just the Clark Kent scenes from Superman. And you get to see him when he acts.
Mm.
It's very interesting. Don't go by
Yeah.
Superman and don't go by some of the other stuff. I think he can do it. Plus, what Brosnan had, I think Henry Cavill has. And that is the fact that the women and everybody, he looks like he can go into a room and charm somebody.
Mm.
Like he's got that kind of Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, and even Sean
He would turn
Connery thing.
heads.
He would turn heads. Timmy
Yeah.
D, God love him, and Daniel Craig, great, good-looking guy. God knows better looking than me. But could he go in a room and like all of a sudden like people are just falling over themselves? I want that fun back in Bond.
Like Sean Connery in Never Say Never Again, where every woman is just like,
Yeah, and the guy's like my age. I'll take it. Right. Exactly. That's what I want. Damn it, a dad bod. But the reality is that I think that he's got the charm to do that. But the essence of the movie, I do want it to be Connery with, ready for this, just a little salt dusting of more. And what I mean by that is we need to get back to the fun. We've had a lot of angsty, crying, dealing with family issue Bond for many movies. And this No Time to Die doesn't look like it's going to be any different. There's, even in the trailer, there's, burning of things and, angriness and relationships breaking up and, friends. And it's like, okay, all right. But, Bond, the movie Bond, not the literary Bond, the movie Bond is a really fallible anti-hero that's just having fun with all of his foibles and embracing them, kind of like we do. Like, I am the last person that anybody should ever emulate, the last person. And I'm okay with that. And you're okay with you. Like, not everybody's going to agree with you. And that's great because we all have issues. But let's celebrate and rejoice in that. We want our Bond to be like that too. Soapbox, table of one.
Yeah. Bill Koenig said angsty, more like suicidal. These movies are getting a little dark. And by the way, props to James Bond in Canada. I think he's talking about Cavill. He said he can charm me any day.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and by the way, listen, this is not about proclivity or anything like that. The reality is we can look at Brosnan and check out Brosnan's charm and say, Brosnan, however you think of his 4 movies, he was that Bond that could walk into a room and the woman would forget their husband's name. And Bond as a spy, I'm not talking about as an assassin. Craig, to me, is an incredible MI6 assassin. Craig is to me the guy that I think could break your spine like a potato chip. He is dangerous and he's angry and he scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But Brosnan seems like he could go in there and from an intrigue standpoint, like spy craft, I think he really fits the bill.
Yeah. James Bond Canada says, totally. So it's Murray. I totally thought it was Jeff. What are you, Murray? So what's interesting? Bond sort of lives in this world now where it's like, it is depending on the incarnation and the time, it's like, is this James Bond character a character who lives in the real world, or is he sort of a persona, who's kind of living in this kind of fantasy-ish world? And I think all of us sort of find our own perfect where on that spectrum we like the most.
Yes.
I feel like with Cavill, you would have a little bit of that. He is just kind of like this perfection, kind of doing this fun movie that we all. But again, I kind of feel like he could, play it pretty level, pretty realistically, that it wouldn't have to be over the top or silly. I think you could find that kind of sweet spot, And yeah, I mean, Cavill's a guy. Seriously, you want to talk about just a good-looking guy? I mean, he looks like he's chiseled out of stone. And I got to tell you, I I guess it was in Mission Impossible Fallout when you see it just sort of like cock the guns before he came. Like you just went,
Yeah.
holy cow, that was awesome.
It's an issue in
So,
my house because anytime there's an interview or something where he's on TV and Danielle and I are watching,
uh,
I'm gone. Like I don't exist. And she's just like, I literally
honey,
see her start to like twirl her hair, and I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? I'm out. I'm out. By the way,
like
Bond, this is great, Joe. You live and die by this. I love this quote. So Bond Jedi Ranger 29 says he wants a serious Bond, but with passion and with a purpose.
mm,
Keep it classic Bond. And that's so true. Like, I think a lot of people
yeah,
look at the classic Bonds and they go, oh my God, the
yeah,
stuff he did. But it's like, all right, so this guy had to charm people for a living and do these things to get into the inner workings and information.
mm,
Guess what
yeah,
they're doing nowadays in real life? They have spies that actually do that. You hear all the time
mm,
about, I don't care what part of the globe you're a part of, but there are people being seduced because of
yeah,
spycraft. Seduction and sexuality and
yeah,
sensuality is a real device.
yeah. I remember I remember I don't remember who I was talking to. It was a professor or a teacher. I mean, I'm talking back in high school, probably like a sophomore in high school, and already getting the James Bond bug. And I remember talking to a teacher, about the Bond movies. I remember saying something like, "Yeah, I know they're not very realistic. Every girl is like a supermodel or whatever." And he actually said to me, I think it was my history teacher, and he said, he's like, "Well, actually, you'd be surprised. What are you talking about?" And he said, spying is a lot about seducing to get information or whatever. He says the idea that women are over the top beautiful is actually very realistic. And I was like, okay, yeah, like From Russia with Love. It's like, okay, so yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful world, and I kind of feel like I want to see a beautiful world. I don't want to see grim and miserable.
We see that every day. I see that when I call you FaceTime.
There you go.
By the way,
I don't blame you.
if if you want a good show to watch, a good series, you need to kill a little time. Spycraft on Netflix talks about this very thing. They talk about
I've been hearing about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Whew, it's heavy stuff. I mean, they get into a little
Yeah.
history, gets a little antiquated, but it's really good. By the way, Elliot Pavely, he just wants to keep it simple. Listen to this. He goes, look, get it as close to Connery and we'll all be fine. Just get it as close to Connery. We'll be fine. I mean, do you think the stewards of Bond, first of all, they don't talk about this like we talk about this clearly, nor should anybody in their right mind. But oh, you know what? Listen, look at this. Bond Armory says, Joe and David, any chances of a fan film? So Joe, aren't you going to be in a fan film?
No, I'm not going to be in a fan film.
Oh, okay.
I tried making a fan film when I was in my late 20s and didn't go very far. But yeah, I don't see a fan film in my future unless I don't even know who I would portray. I feel like I'm sinking slowly into the Jack Wade role, but
you don't think you could be a curmudgeon EM?
Maybe.
Yeah. By the way, Joe Hans says, did you guys watch The Americans? Interesting spycraft, lots of seduction. I watched every episode. I drank in every episode. Wasn't crazy about the finale, but The Americans is really good. Very suspenseful. And yes, based on real world seduction spycraft games. So there you go.
I might have to give that one another watch. I remember getting into The Americans kind of mid, like I don't know what season it was. And I liked it and I was watching it, but I was like, but I missed the early stuff, so I might have to go back and try this again. But yeah, I might have to check that one out.
By the way, you know what? If I was in a fan film, I would get a Daniel Craig lookalike to play Daniel Craig, and then I would want to be the new Felix Leiter or any Felix Leiter because I can do an amazing Texas drawl. And I want to be like a real Texan. I want to be like the Ian Fleming, where he's kind of Bond-esque. Like, I can kind of be kind of Bond-esque, when I want to be. And I've had enough Blackwell rum, but I can do a mean Texas drawl.
I it's funny when I was I'm not kidding when I say I did a fan film. I started to, Again, it was like late '90s, I guess. It was in the middle of the Brosnan era, and I did a scene where I had Felix Leiter, and I purposely dressed him exactly like Jack Lord in Doctor No.
Oh my gosh.
And I lifted, and it was basically kind of redoing the scene where Bond meets Jack Wade for the first time in GoldenEye, where they just sort of like lean up against each other and exchange a password. I literally had a shot, the guy playing Felix Leiter dressed like Jack Lord. James Bond saddles up next to him, and Felix says, "Aren't you the guy who was shot?" And James Bond says, "No, I'm the guy who was missed." And it was supposed to be a takeoff of the Casino Royale, 1954. It was like the only line from that show that I think is actually really good and really sort of worth paying a little tribute to.
I love it. By the way, the chat room is casting this made up film. We got Alex Petrovich, who says Bond 26. David is Bond. Way too old. Do you not see the gray? Joe is M. I love it. Calvin is Q. Calvin would be perfect. And then we have to choose a villain. But David Schlotsky just turned my world upside down. He says, I have a fan film idea. A regular guy gets obsessed with David Z and plays villain to his Bond. I don't know if I like the reality smell of that. Smells too close to reality.
I swear, right?
Oh, Brian from James Bond Aficionado. This is a good casting call. What about John Hamm as a Felix Leiter in the next Bond? Is he too famous?
Why not? Well, it's not that he's too famous, but he'd be a little too Bondish. I think you'd have depending on who you got, John Hamm as Felix and say Henry Cavill as Bond. Two guys looking very similar, like brothers almost. So I don't know. Not sure.
So Jerome J.C. Skywalker wants, he goes, you can't just tease us like that, David. Come on, give us a little taste. Give us a Texas drawl. Go. All right. I guess because this is your show, not mine, I will. I've always depended on the kindness of strangers. I don't know. I gotta give it some thought. I'm not prepared. Let me think of a monologue and then I'll come out with it. Everybody's asking me for my Texan. Well, I can do a Texan like a John Wayne Texan, like a yeehaw Texan, but I can also do kind of like a Texans. What they do is the drawl is actually very subtle, and the way it comes out is just very, very kind. It's not something that's very harsh. That's it. That's all I'm going to do.
Okay. All right. My friend, I will take it.
By the way, some people are saying Matthew McConaughey as Felix. What do you think about that?
Not bad. Not bad. I mean, he certainly got the, James Bond Canada said, well, I do declare. I think that's a little more Blanche Devereaux.
Well, I do declare. I got a case of the horribles.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the vapors are destroying me. Boy, we actually need, I'll tell you who could do a really good Texas drawl is Harris Thomas.
This is true. I'm not against bringing back like Sheriff J.W. Pepper in a fan film. I think we got that covered.
I think we'll move off of that for a second. Hey, Joe, couple things real quick. There's a question that happened earlier on that I want to resuscitate because there's something I want to talk about. Kind of your fantasy play as a Bond fan. There is a kind of a major, if you had one wish as a Bond fan, what would it be? What is that Bond wish? Is it for you to be in a Bond film?
Maybe. I don't know. I think I know a lot of guys would probably jump at it. I think, put it this way, if you and I got a call and we found out they're filming in New York City, how fast can you get there? And just for a little bit, I mean, obviously we leave skid marks. But I don't know if it's, I don't know if it would really be something I would. It's almost like, what's the old expression? If you like steak, don't ever go near the slaughterhouse. You don't want to see how they make the sausage.
Boy,
So I don't,
that
yeah,
is true.
right. So I don't know if I would be really pressed to want to be in a film. I mean, it would be pretty sweet to feel like forever I'd be able to pull that DVD off the shelf, put it in there, and hey, guess who was in a James Bond movie? Um, yeah, so I don't know. I kind of feel like it would probably, going to the premiere, going to the events surrounding it, probably would be a little warmer than
Hmm.
actually being an extra in the film. I think that might be a little more like it. Like if let's say the film comes out and they decide, hey, we're going to do a fan event in this location where we filmed something and it's all expenses paid, whatever. Sign me up. That to me would be where that's what I would love to see.
So I will quantify my particular answer with
Mm.
dividing it a little bit, because tomorrow I've got a video coming out of my YouTube channel called Extra Extra, and it
Ah,
literally follows two individuals that were extras in Quantum of Solace, and you'll have to tune into the video to see more, but they literally do tell their story of being an extra, getting kind of my fantasy wish of being in a Bond film. But they're extras where they're part of a crowd, so they don't get as close to the potential grizzle of
mm,
being an actual player, an actual character. I agree with you, Joe. I think I would love to be the guy that in Quantum of Solace that sweeps the broom that doesn't touch the ground, like way in
yeah,
the background, as opposed to the guy who sees all the potential warts, I'll call them
yeah,
happily,
yeah.
of what goes on. Because even Sidarat, the costume designer, was in a recent interview and she said, yeah, there were some bumpy roads to this film. I mean, for someone to say that publicly after they've
Yeah.
probably been rehearsed not to say that, you
Mm,
you know there's some bumpy roads. So I mean, we see enough of the underbelly. I
yeah.
don't think I want to see inside. It's a tauntaun that probably smells worse on the inside than the outside.
That's a perfect analogy. By the way, welcome James Bond Television. Thank you for all of your
Oh,
great Facebook posts that are going to get me in trouble with the wife one of these days.
by the way, Joe, you got to tell for the 227 other people watching, what does that mean? So what does James Bond Television do on a daily, multi-time a day basis?
He likes to post really, really good photos of what I would call potential Bond girls,
He
and
does.
in exotic locations and exotic costume.
Yeah, that's all he does. I mean, really, what he does is he does research, data-based research that really focuses on who could be the next Bond girl, and he posts them several times a day. He focuses on a lot of personality, a lot
Mm,
of environments, and also their comeliness. How fit and disciplined they are, and he's really keeping the Bond end up. Love it.
there you go. I like
It's a
Bill
guilty
Connick's
pleasure of mine.
comment.
It's like the page three girl.
Yeah. I like Bill Connick's comment. I just paid off the credit card I used to buy the air tickets for the April 2020 debut of No
Oh
Time to Die.
no.
I know that feeling, brother.
Bill Koenig is one of those Bond fans that Bond franchise, Bond products can throw him punches. And he's like Rocky. He goes, it's not how hard you can punch me, it's how I can keep coming back for more. And isn't
Yeah.
that how we all are? And that's what I meant earlier by, you know what, throw me October date, which I think is crazy. You should have just said coming soon. Turn it to a Christmas date, turn it to 2022. Go for it. You're not going to hurt me. You
You,
know,
you know,
I'm I'm numb.
that's interesting that you said that. I kind of feel like at this point, why not just say coming soon? Like why at this point even feel obligated to put a definitive date on the film? Just say coming soon. And when you do start to
Yes.
feel confident, just say here's the day. I mean, put it this way: they could have just picked October, because I mean you have to obviously pick your slots, but just pick it in kind of behind the scenes. Don't tell anybody. And when you finally get to where I think this is going to happen, then make the announcement. Here's the date.
Yeah. It's I mean, look, we all play the game and we get it. And
Mm,
first of all, hand on heart, we're not privy to any of these conversations. There's highly intelligent, very competent people in charge of the franchise. But it's fun. This is what we do during a pandemic when we're locked down and we're isolated from each other is we speculate. And, to me, as I am in the world of marketing, and I think I do a
Mm,
fair job, thank you. And one of the things I said was keep it nebulous at this point. Don't don't bet on
yeah.
Black 15. Bet on
Mm,
black.
yeah.
Betting
Yeah.
on black means you're 50-50 chance. So
Yeah.
just say coming soon. And you know what? Coming soon is nebulous. It's
Mm,
subjective. As a 53-year-old man, coming soon could be in the next 2 years. To someone Calvin's age, coming soon is 2 months from now.
I'll tell you this. Yeah, and it's funny you say that too, because when I was with Emery on his podcast, we were talking about the anniversary of Diamonds Are Forever, which is of course late this year, but 2021. I said to myself, wow, just think how recently it feels that the 50th anniversary of James Bond was, right? When Skyfall came out, that was the 50th anniversary. Okay. Between Skyfall and now, you would have had Dr. No from Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderbolt. You only live
Wow.
twice. A new
Wow.
James Bond in another film, and then Connery back again for another film. That's the length. That's the length of time
Yeah.
between
Oh.
the 50th and this year.
The length of time is seismic and it's a topic of conversation. And, the problem is so much happens during that time. This is sad, but I'm going to say it. And, I hope he's okay with it. So Iron Wolf here in the chat room says, I just hope my dad stays alive until No Time to Die opens. That's a real thing.
Mm,
Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic and I'm not trying to bring a happy hour down. If we were sitting in a pub, we would talk about these things too. But, that's a real thing. It's like, and by the way, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not saying, damn it, release the film. I'm just
yeah.
saying it's a shit shame that we're all going through this. And, you know, venting about it is fine. It used
Yeah.
to be at the beginning of this when people were venting about it, I'm like, come on, chin up, be positive. I'm like, but no, it's okay to do that. And yeah, we all just want to be alive, kicking, and if possible, we want to be together. I mean, how
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, Joe, you and I have talked about this. We should share this discussion because we've never shared it publicly. But Joe and I were talking, and we said if they go both streaming and theater, that we were actually going to do our own local premiere party. We were going
Mm,
to find a place, pick a place. We have something in mind. We don't want to divulge it. And we were going to just have an open invite for those that want to watch it together. Let's watch it together. Let's get all dressed up. Let's get our significant others. Let's make bad decisions. Let's have food, talk Bond, and make a party of it if it's
yeah.
safe to do that. I want
Right.
to asterisk that. Um,
Assuming.
because there may be travel bans and things like that. We don't know what it's going to be in October or December or 2022 yet.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. That was it's funny. That was a big conversation we were having as well. If you had a choice between seeing it in the theater or seeing it at home, what would you do? And honestly, it's funny. As much as I'm like a big proponent of the theater going experience. I mean, I'm a film buff from the early days. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for theaters. On the other hand, it is getting to where, well, I do have a pretty nice HD TV with surround
Yeah.
speakers. And when you go to the theaters, I mean, it's really getting to be a 50-50 shot when you go to the theaters. I hope I don't get any loud kids. I hope I don't get anybody screaming at the TV, at the screen. So yeah, I think what you're saying is spot on the money about doing a party, because that's the way you do it. You get all your friends
Yeah.
together, you get a good screen with good speakers, and you do it right. I think that's how you do it.
Yeah. And there are ways to do that. We've done it before. And the other thing that I'll say in all of this, and I'm sure I'm not going to win any favors for some people. There are individuals out there that say, I don't care if it comes out in 2025. It needs to only come out in theaters because that's the way a
Mm,
Bond film can come out. I
yeah.
don't I don't know if I agree with that now. I think that life now, as we've learned in this last year, is about choices and
Mm,
flexibility. And, the one thing I will say outside of Wonder Woman's horrific, horrific movie, the one thing it did show is that it doubled. And a lot of people don't talk about this. They go, oh, it only brought in this much at the movie theater, but it doubled HBO Max's subscriptions,
mm.
doubled. So although we don't know the money, it did double it. So my point being is, from a revenue standpoint, it might work to do a duel. You make your choices, but I would have a problem waiting until 2023 to see No Time to Die, which also means that Bond 26 is 2025 at best. And aren't we just getting a little ridiculous?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Just wholeheartedly. Yeah. Right. It's kind of. I mean, if you're really talking about holding on to this movie for another 2 years, I mean, it really is getting to where, when do you just sort of throw the goodbye party and just sort of, Bond was a great thing. Thank God we have all these 24 films to watch. Thank you for the memories. I mean, seriously, I'll tell you this. I'm kind of stunned that, like, I'm hearing, and Bill Coney can verify this one, but apparently we still haven't quite hit the gap between License to Kill and GoldenEye. I thought for
How
sure
far
by
off
now,
are
or
we?
this last, I mean, I think if they postpone it once more, we've broken the record. But apparently, we're just a little shy. Like I said, I think Bill will. We're just
But
months
here's the
shy.
thing. I've heard that conversation before, Joe. The
Mm,
problem I have with it is there's very different reasons going on. I mean,
big
you're
time.
talking about lawsuits and pauses and expanses, and you can
Sure.
get vicious on both sides. But I mean, who cares? Like, I get it. I mean, it's an auspicious event. If we get to that point, if we break that record, even the one day afterwards, we should probably post something, like we
Mm.
did it. Yay. Patience level to a new
Yeah.
max. Yay. But
Yeah.
I don't, you know, my problem with all of this that's kind of going on is, and I know I've preached this, is that we've really had to fallen back on the movies that we have, the content that we create. That's what should be supported right now. The
Mm.
the the whole, October, I kind of get it. I do. They felt like they needed to set a date, but you know, right now I'm talking about what's here today. How can you do
Mm.
otherwise?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I and Murray's telling me, I think we're 4 months shy of breaking the record. If it comes out in October, we'll be 4 months shy of the previous record. So if they postpone it again, and Bill Koenig is saying David Bond 26 will be in 2026, you heard it here first.
Wow.
Very, very possible.
He's got
Uh,
inside knowledge. I know that.
he certainly does inside baseball.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But you're absolutely right. It is frustrating because, again, you've heard me say it before. Had they just turned in their homework on time, we wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, right. It was very different reasons back then. They literally couldn't do a Bond movie, and as soon as they
Yeah.
could, they did. This was just, we're not in a rush. I don't really feel like doing it so soon. So yeah, it is, to
I
me. It
just
is.
It's not a badge. I mean, and this is a good discussion because I think, are we going to be the next generation, that says, hey, we had the longest expanse, and we can
Mm,
tell that to our kids. I mean, the one thing I will say that's totally different than the last, you know, License to Kill the Goldeneye is, look at the stuff that we filled up the time with. I mean, look at what people have dreamt up. I
yeah.
mean, I'm looking at the chat room right now. There's a lot of people in this chat room.
Yeah.
And I would say the significant amount of them have content creation. They're doing
Yeah.
something where they wake up in the morning and they're like, I got to do something Bond. And I've got to share something Bond. And the amount of new
Mm,
podcasts, I can't keep up with the new podcasts. I've got to pick and choose. I'm like, My friend Lorenzo from Amiga Bond Watches has a new podcast. I'm like, all right, man, I'll give it a try. But then I've got to, when do I do it? Do I do it over coffee? Do I do it at night when I'm working out? It's like, but that's
Yeah.
great that that's
Yeah.
happening. The License to Kill folks, they had Starlog magazine.
That's a great point. I tell you, it's funny. I literally just said to a friend of ours recently, I said it was just over a year ago that I did a video about the top 7 new James Bond podcasts that I liked. I probably could do another one right now of the next 7 that came out since then. I kind of feel like I could probably do that. Yeah, no, people have been cranking out content like crazy, and you're absolutely correct that it's a far cry from the days of waiting every month for Starlog to see what was going on.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be a kumbaya here and rose colored glasses in a situation like this, but I mean, look at the things that we have to pacify us, and I use that term not so loosely. James Page, James Bond and Friends, just joined us and says, "Hey lads, sorry to join the party late. Can we get a little bit excited that we finally got the GoldenEye HD remake out last night and first Bond game release in 8 years?" And he's absolutely right. I mean, we've got so many things that we can start gravitating to pacify us, to bridge this. I call it connective tissue. We haven't had that before. That's the strength. And look, I'm not trying to diminish what Dan Jack has, what MGM has before them. They've got an impossible job with impossible money and impossible timeframes during an impossible pandemic where you don't know anything that's going to happen. I mean, I'm in the science field. I know this. But what we do have is some of those things that we can grab onto, like a mountain climber. Oh, I see something I can grapple with, whether it's new image or new content. I think that's the only thing that's going to keep us going, Joe.
Yeah. And by the way, I have to kind of find the thing about the new GoldenEye game. I kind of didn't know that.
You don't know this?
Is that the GoldenEye project that I've been hearing about for a while? That it looked like they were getting shut down.
It's not that, but if somebody on the chat room can kind of speak and wax poetic about it. But it's all of the gaming stuff to me, whether it's the GoldenEye HD or the new game by the Hitman group, IOI, I think it is. Yeah. That's what's going to usher in, as you and I, and Joe, I put you before me, have comorbidities and start to die out. I mean, Joe, you're right. I mean, would you say it's fair to say you're going to go before me?
I got one foot in the grave already.
Yeah, Deadpool wise, I think you're there, right?
Totally.
Right,
you want to bet big.
No, I wanted you to say it, not me. But I mean, I'm your liver is like pate. I can spread it.
Very true.
I'm going to take a bullet for the guy,
or chisel at it.
But the reality is the new blood of bringing this franchise in. That's where the source is going to lie. And by the way, the Bond Armory is saying goodnight, everyone. What happened? It's 7:36. What do you got to do? It's a pandemic.
Oh, he's got little ones to put to bed.
By the way, Joe, James Page says Microsoft Rare's official HD remake of GoldenEye from 2008 that got blocked by MGM Danjak. So it is the remake. They tried again in 2015 and got blocked again. Someone leaked it last night.
I'll tell you what, somebody's got to get me a copy of that. I don't even
where's
know
the
how
link,
I play
folks?
It. Yeah.
Where's the link? That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I have a little bit of trouble with the GoldenEye discussion in the most wonderful way, because every time I speak to anybody under 32 years of age, I ask them how they got into Bond, and they go, well, it was the GoldenEye game, of course. And I played it. I didn't even own it. I played it a handful of times. So I feel like to initiate this fountain of youth that I'm trying to capture at 53 years of age, I need to find these moments of gaming.
I tell you, I would, it's been, I can't even tell you honestly how long it's been since I played. Probably the last game I played had to have been the
Bloodstone?
Yeah, it had to be Bloodstone.
Oh my God, what a great game though.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, probably that was the last console. I'll tell you, honestly, I've only ever bought game consoles since Nintendo for the Bond games. So
Wow.
basically, when a new Bond game came out on a new console, well, all right, I guess it's time for me to buy another one.
I did
I
the
did.
same thing. Yeah.
You know, and I think at the time I bought like one or two other games. Like, well, if I'm gonna buy it, I guess I get a couple games. You know, like I bought like one racing game and one shooting game, whatever. But yeah, I kind of miss the old search XBLA GoldenEye.
Well, I'll tell you, Calvin and I did a 2-part review of the different games, and we did split apart. And by the way, we were almost in exact agreement with which ones, like Nightfire's, king, of course, and different things. But the I will tell you, the best games out there, there's 2 or 3. You can keep revisiting them. It's not the playability, it's not the story, it's the fact that you become Bond. It's everything. It's even, when we talk about Bond lifestyle, we talk about putting on a cardigan or something like that, and for a moment escaping and becoming a Bond. That's kind of what it captures. And by the way, great observation. Roland Hume, amazing author.
What's up, Roland?
Local guy, says, "What's this? Caleb turns up and Ray Cromfeld leaves." Caleb Daniels just jumped in, Commando Bond, and that is because an international audience, and we can have only so many weapons experts in this chat room. So we can have one
pretty cool stuff.
We can have only one weapons person at a time. Otherwise, things just go a little berserk. So that's what's happening there.
They're like the coyote and the sheepdog when they punch out,
Hey, Ralph. Hey, Ralph. Hey, Ralph.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what you were talking about. Nightfire multiplayer was insane. Yes, it was. Yeah. By the way, just chat room real quick. Let me know, chat room, how many of you are active gamers? I'm really curious because whether you're corporate, whether you're C-suite, whether it doesn't matter what you do for a living, gaming, for some people, many people, even Henry Cavill, who we were talking about before, it's a distraction. It's a wonderful escape, like we talk about with Bond. Joe, do you regularly play video games? I don't anymore.
Not at all. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said I think the last game I played was Nightfire. And we were talking about multiplayer. The multiplayer for Quantum was really good. Like, I like that one a lot. And I remember it was cool because you could play online. It was the online play was out, but this was before you'd sit around with headphones yelling at each other the whole time. So you're just playing against random people.
Yeah.
But it was great because the game was popular and a lot of people were playing it, so you could always find a game, whatever. I used to love that one. So that was probably the last time I really would ever call myself a gamer. Even the games that were out since were good and I played them, but I don't remember like a multiplayer experience. So you just sort of played it and then you finished and you were done.
Well, Joe, we've got to stop creating videos because James Bond aficionado says #guilty. John Riggs says I'm an active gamer and he's 56 years old. All these people, I mean, you got a ton of active gamers on here, and they're much better aligned psychologically than you and I. That's for sure. We're
old. We are old men.
But is it age? Because I'm seeing 56-year-olds playing. And by the way, age is a number that's here. You know that. Like, you have the body of an 85-year-old. It's not about your age.
It's true. Exactly right.
Oh, didn't see that coming. By the way, you are doing better though on #Bond25 Fitness Challenge.
I don't want to, I'm trying to make a new rule. Keep your mouth shut and just do stuff and stop telling people what you're going to do, because I almost feel like as soon as I say something and I sort of feel good about the fact that I made a commitment, it's almost like now I feel fine and I'm comfortable again and I don't do the things I say I'm going to do. So I'm trying to keep my trap shut. But I did say to myself, even before, I mean, put it this way, the office that I'm in right now is on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
And I said to myself, even before this started, I said, wow, I'm going to be feeling pretty good probably once this is over, because it's a lot of boxes and a lot of furniture and a lot of things to be carrying up 3 flights.
Yeah.
So this whole month has been just one nonstop athletic event as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and I, It's interesting. Like you said, I celebrated my 53rd birthday tomorrow morning after
Mm,
drinking a decent amount of rum that, again, tastes like bourbon on this wonderful happy hour with our really close friends. I've got to wake up at probably 4:30 in the morning and do my workout. And tomorrow's a lifting day, which is going to be fun. It's one of these things, though, from a science standpoint, and I can say this
mm,
hopefully with some validity. They say, especially during this time, the best thing that you can do is work out, is to help your lungs, respiratory system,
mm.
uh, mind and body. So I mean, it's all ships rise with that.
Okay. Hey, here's a question: when
Yeah.
you work out, do you go to a gym or do you work out at home? Do you work out with
Hell
people,
no.
or are you a solo?
I'm a solo guy. I
Uh,
cannot have anybody in the room when I work out. I work out in my basement gym, and I've got the Soloflex dumbbells and pull up bars and things like that. So I don't go to a gym. I used to go to a gym, and I found it so difficult
yeah,
to get up in the morning, get dressed, to drive somewhere 20, 25 minutes, go into a locker, work out, get undressed,
yeah,
forget about it. It's too much.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Edie Sedgwick, what do you do for a living? I do graphic design and video editing. Um, hopefully, some of the videos you've seen on my channel will illustrate, but
Joe and I have worked together, by the way. I don't know if people know that from a
we
vocational
have,
standpoint, right?
we have.
And I oversee a pharmaceutical advertising and marketing company and have a lot of fun with it. And it's a good group of people. And I started quoting Cialis ads because we worked on Cialis. I don't know if that's something I want to hang as a badge. But Joe, you've
Jerome
worked.
says,
Yeah.
"God,
No, go ahead.
Jerome said, stay encouraged, man. It's never too late to give yourself a shot to feel better, do better." Thank you, Jerome. Jerome should
Jerome,
be
and
my coach.
Jerome travels all around the world because he takes flights everywhere. And by the way, traveling, Joe, as somebody that is an avid traveler, you've loved
Mm.
traveling. What's it been like? We had some questions earlier about not being able to travel, or do you have travel plans?
It's funny you mentioned that because honestly, I think last week was sort of the one of the first times where I was really starting to uh, kind of feel the lack of any traveling, the lack of anything. And I almost even did a podcast where I was going to just start venting. How does it feel to not be able to do any of the Bond things we do aside from drinking? Like that one we're doing in spades, but all
No
the other
problem.
things is so, like you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. It's like, um, yes, the lack of travel uh, feels weird. I
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, this is February. You and I went to Toronto last February.
Oh my
So we
gosh.
are coming on the 1 year anniversary of the last time either of us got onto a plane, I
That's
think.
true. That's 100% true.
Yeah. I mean, and it's weird. I kind of feel like usually between work and fun, I probably normally would fly at least 3 or 4 times a year, I think.
I'm with you.
So
Yep.
yeah, so it's really weird just kind of being so landlocked.
It is very strange. I will tell you, I kind of hinted something earlier on that I'll further hint. I do have some travel coming up at the end of February, and it's incredibly Bond related travel
Ah,
that I'm not quite ready to divulge, but I will say that I will be able to share some of the
is it is
moments.
it is it a Bond inspired trip? Is it
No.
because of Bond, or are you
Oh,
pulling some Bond into another trip?
oh no, it's very Bond inspired and
Okay.
supported. But what's wonderful about it is not just the destination and not just what we're going to do. And Danielle is coming with me, and we have
I think I
at
have a guess, and
least
I'll ask you later.
we've got about 6 or 7 videos that we're doing in a 5-day time expanse. And we've got 2 videos before and 1 video after. So it's going to be a smorgasbord of experiences. But The one thing that really just makes me heady about the travel,
Mm,
to your point, we haven't traveled. To me, it's a new experience. I know there'll be masks, and I know we have to be very careful. In the place that we're going, you actually have to fill out a form beforehand, during, after. And so it's almost like experiencing Bond in this new world that we
mm,
have to, this new normal that we have to play
yeah.
within. So I think it's going to be an interesting experience.
I will be curious to see how the flight goes because I've
Hmm.
seen, we'll put it this way, I've seen the memes where like the first picture is people standing on line, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, only to be crammed into an airplane that looks exactly like it used to be, like just people just on top of each other. Um, I watched Martine's video
Yeah.
talking about how the Diamonds Are Forever trip is being
Yes.
postponed. And I was watching it, and of course, I mean, everything he said made perfect sense.
Yes.
And one thing that kind of like shocked me awake was when he said something like, he's like, no, it's really even if we could, it's a matter of would it be fun to do it under these circumstances? And he says, imagine you're wearing your tuxedo with a mask over, and I just said, I was like, I never even thought of that, but I was like, yeah, what a weird, like, what a weird picture. Like, of
Yeah.
course, that's probably the perfect marker. If I'm still wearing the mask, I'm not putting on a tuxedo. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
I will
So,
say this: the one thing I can divulge, and Martine has been so responsible and so thoughtful about,
mm,
what's going to be transpiring, next year. I was pulled in, and honored to be pulled in to the Vegas portion. And one of the things that you'll find is that it really was a group moment. It was about people coming together. So
yeah,
Martine, I think, very clearly and easily took a look at that and said, that's not going to meet the original vision. 2022 has a better opportunity, better likelihood of meeting that original vision, especially in Vegas. There are so
yeah,
many incredible, amazing, crazy things planned for Bond fans for the 60th anniversary in Vegas that are just
mm,
going to blow everybody away. And it's only something that Martine can deliver. I mean, he is just,
yeah.
it's the creme de la creme. So it's like that thing of like, it pays to wait.
Yeah, I totally agree. Again, it would just feel so weird trying to do it under weird circumstances. So it's just let's just. I mean, honestly, it's funny. And even as he was talking, and I said to myself, like, I mean, the bottom line is you want to hug people. I mean, this is sort of
I
like, could
know.
you imagine going all that way to see somebody you haven't seen in years and just be like, hey, what's up? Like, I mean, you want to hug people. I mean, I'm a hugger. I'm a weird dude. Like, what can I tell you?
Well, but it's not
Um,
just you.
I
Murray
yeah.
Gillespie is like Typhoid Mary with the pandemic. Murray Gillespie, if you know him from James Bond Canada, he will go around and hug, possibly kiss everyone. I don't care, male, female, or otherwise. He's going to want to hug. So, how do you control outside of like a tranquilizer dart,
And,
the Murray Gillespies of the world? Never mind the Joe Darlingtons.
and when I see Murray, I plan to grab his ass as I always do. So look, I can't do that from 6 feet away. What can I tell you?
Exactly. And by the way, James Bond Canada is on here right now. I have a feeling it may be Jeff Wybo. Jeff is is it Jeff Wybo? James Bond Canada, identify yourself. It's either
I
Jeff
think it's
Wybo
Murray.
or Murray Gillespie. It could be
Pretty
either
sure it's
one.
Murray,
Oh, because he says I want a hug from Joe. Yeah.
but that could be
But
actually Jeff
and by the
too.
way, Brian from James Bond Aficionado. Um, listen, Murray just went through surgery, came out better than ever. He had his throat worked on, and he can only talk half as much as he used to. So it's been a major improvement.
And,
It
and
is
if you know
Murray.
Murray, that is yeah. It's
We love you, Murray.
yeah,
And
very
by the
much
way,
so. Get well, Murray.
but isn't that part of
Quickly.
it? This is the fact that, whether it's travel to a location or to a Bond premiere, we want to be able to, and listen, we're not so old that we're just traditionalists, like everything's got to be the same way. Get off my mountain, you damn kids. It's about the things that we love the most, which is really connecting with people we want to get back to. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the thematic moment here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, again, it really, I mean, 2020, and I kind of feel like we can sort of officially say it's a whole year now because I feel like we're kind of
It
we're
is.
approaching the
Yeah,
anniversary of when all this nonsense first started, and when things started getting. I mean, I think it was late January when they postponed the film, wasn't it? The first big postpone when we missed
yes,
all our plans. It
I think
was
it
the
was. Yes,
yeah. So this is now a solid year of this, and so yeah, it is kind of getting to where like, all right, now we're not kidding. Enough is enough.
yeah.
James
I
Bond kind of wants to get drunk with David again. Boy, amen to
Oh,
that.
you know what? He did. And that was at the Spectre premiere. And Murray came up to me. I remember meeting him for the first time, and he came up to me and introduced himself. And here's how he introduced himself. And this is so Murray. He came up and he goes, cuckoo, cuckoo. And he was doing, of course, the Christoph Waltz. He was dressed in a tux. I was dressed way down in a matchless outfit from the Morocco scene, trying to be like Mr. Cosplay, thinking I'm all that shit, which I'm not. Um, and Murray was just fantastic. And of course, it was a great evening, but we want to have more of that. Hey, Joe, we are 6 minutes away from the witching hour, which means 8 o'clock our time, which means we should start to close down. Quick question for you. And
Mm.
this is not about the chat room. This is about me to you. Um, Content. You know, we're relying on people like you to fill the gap. We get up in the morning and we get excited when there's something new from Taylor's with Love or Calvin or James Bond and Friends, something that we can consume to be like, there's my little, let me get my vein going. There's my James Bond fix. What can
Yeah.
we expect from you in the next few months?
Uh, Honestly, for the first time, that's a good question.
Hmm.
You know, last year, I feel like I tell you, there's a part of me that I was really kicking around the idea of doing a year in review for James Bond because I kind of felt like last year was such kind of just like a crazy year as far as putting out content. Um, we finished out all the reviews, my Big Spectre review finale. Um, you know, I kind of republished republished the thing I did for the Operation Stay at Home.
Yeah.
And then I had the thing at the end of the year, my time travel video. I wanted to sort of do like just a sort of a year retrospective because I mean last
Mm,
year was just such a balls to the wall, uh, crazy year for putting out
true.
content. Um, Now I'm sitting here going, what do I do now? Because I'm done with the reviews. I'm done with a lot of things. I was all set to do um, I was doing the ranking videos, and I got up to Brosnan, and I was debating, should I just go ahead and do a Daniel Craig, or should I wait for the film? And I decided to wait for the film. And now
You
I'm saying
have
to
to.
myself, I think that's good. Yeah, I'm saying to myself, I think that's gonna be a little while down the road, further than I thought. Um, Drink recommendations. There's a good one. Yeah, I'm not. I honestly, I'm not sure what's coming next. I
What
am.
about being James Bond? What about the
Well,
moments and skill sets?
yeah. I will put it this way. I am absolutely. I'm not kidding when I say I'm going to put some time aside to finally finish this damn book. Um, I feel like in the time I talk about it, I keep seeing other guys coming out with new books. And I'm like, Christ Almighty, why am I still farting around with this one? Um, and I'm thinking, should I try to do stuff to go along with the books, like as I'm finishing
Yeah,
chapters, do something. So that's I'm
maybe.
kind of Oh, by the way, and Murray reminded it's time for a James Bond game show. I did do a couple of the trivia's
They
last year, and I'm
love
definitely gonna do
those.
that again.
They
Yeah,
love those.
that
And
was a
by the
lot of fun.
way, a bunch of people, a couple of people are saying, uh, you know, let's give Joe the time. If you go on a bit of a sabbatical, like a writing sabbatical, like Ian
Mm.
Fleming did for 2.5 months, and you're typing 2,000 words a day, we would forgive you for going a little bit dark.
Yeah, and by the way, I wanted to say to you, David, thank you so much for kind of setting up this little happy hour because honestly, I really did feel like, boy, this couldn't have come at a better time because from doing the big move and everything, I mean, I've been sort of dark for at least since the end of 2020. So I was kind of anxious to be able to do something where I'm just out talking to everybody again, talking about James Bond again. Yeah, nice, exactly, right. So yeah, absolutely. I this was a thrill. And yeah, I probably will go slightly dark and probably do less stuff in the beginning part of the year as I kind of get my groove on and yeah, really start kind of getting that book done. Edie Sedgwick is asking about an audiobook version. I will definitely do an audio version like I did with the first
Yes.
volume. So that'll be part of it for sure.
By the way, I'll tell you the tenaciousness of the Bond community. You've got Altertus, who is, he says it's almost 2 a.m. here, wherever here is. That's how much we're all kind of hanging on each other. I mean, I'm gonna say a very simple but poignant statement. We are what we have. In other words, we don't know the next poster. We don't know the next trailer. That's fine. It should be a surprise and it should be wonderful. And we'll all post it and Instagram will fill up with the images. And that's great. That's what it should be about. But we are the sum of all the parts that we are creating right now. And it's so important to do that. I will tell you that one of the things that you'll see from me, Joe, and others listening is that, starting probably around mid-February, I am really working very closely with a lot of the brands to help bridge the time. The brands,
Nice.
have an opportunity as opposed to a challenge. So you could see it as a challenge, but they see it as an opportunity to really connect and to use a different type of channel, if you will. And so my travel at the end of February is related to some of the brands. And, I think the fun in that is going to be just kind of closing our eyes and being able to scramble and have these Bond moments and to create experiences that tie us in, because otherwise it's going to be this horrible, cold, Chris Nolan space darkness, until October
Yeah.
or December or
Yeah.
2022. And that just sounds awful to me.
It does, yeah. It really does. So I'm with you. It's time to we definitely need to keep the electricity on, keep things going. I mean, and I will say like you said earlier, we got a lot of new content creators who are pitching in with this. I mean,
Keep going.
it's good stuff. Yeah, I'm telling you, I could probably do another video of the next 7 Bond podcasts that have come out that have been quality stuff. And
Eddie Sedgwick, who is very profound, love the comments, says, sounds deep, David. I know. Sometimes I get in my own head. You have to forget. Listen, you got to take me with the bad and the good. I'm very fallible. But, Joe, there's even an Instagram about the floors of James Bond, like literally the flooring that you see in the James Bond movies.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's great.
How do you not follow that? No.
I tell honestly, I'm not kidding when I say Fast and Furious. They come up so. There's so many new Instagrams all the time, and I literally just can't keep up.
Well, we're going to try. So first of all, I would like to thank everybody in the chat room. We had a lot of great comments. You guys had great questions, great subjects. We didn't shy away from any of them. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud that we didn't have anything too controversial, which was nice for a change. But most of all, I want to thank my very good friend. Before I was on the internet, Joe and I were friends. And after the internet explodes and we're overrun by robots, we'll be friends. So, Joe, I want to thank you for coming on and helping me to host this tonight.
Thank you, my brother. And honestly, it might be your place I come to when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. So be careful what you wish for. So,
we would have fun.
We would make the best of the zombie apocalypse.
I've got more Blackwell 007 rum. Blackwell.
There you go.
When Blackwell's all you need.
I know where to go. Yeah, and honestly, brother, like I said, I mean, this was a much needed kind of, letting off some steam and having a little Bond time after
It's
You know,
Wednesday. It's
there you
not
go.
Thursday and it's not Friday. It's not Saturday. And,
This is true.
thanks everybody out there for letting your significant others let you go into a dark room somewhere. DT UK, feel better, my friend. I know, you've had some obstacles. We've got William Leisher. We've got Slice Eye. We've got Micah Poplowski. My gosh, we've got the culture of James
What's up,
Bond.
Mike?
Nicholas Slayton, James Bond Canada, Altredres. We've got so many people that are out there that have joined us. James Bond aficionado, Godspeed to you. Friday, my friend. James Bond Television, keep up with the Page 3 girls. Alex Lamas,
Exactly.
keep up with your profound discussion. Shane Brady, Nicholas Capone, Crane Phillips, Nicholas Slayton. My gosh. All of you, keep the British and the Bond end up. And we'll see you all real soon. Take care, everybody. Wish you well. Take care.
Get better, Murray. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Yes. And